Good afternoon, friends. Today we shall be talking on how to quickly improve your communications. Few simple words can either build bridges or build walls. Bridges keep the communication flowing easily and harmoniously, I would say. Wall creates distance and cause disharmony. Make sure you are building bridges, my friends. They say that the wise men speak because they have something to say, and the fools because they have to say something. If someone tells you you should do that, or you have to get this thing done right now, your thoughts might be, don't tell me what to do. No way. Remember, should and have to have a feeling of judgment or authority attached to it. They cause a negative reaction. These words build walls. To make them into a bridge builders, try saying, consider trying it this way. When do you think you might be able to get this thing done, my friends? Eliminate this should and have from your vocabulary immediately. Know, firstly, to whom you are talking to. What are the first thing you should work on while when looking to improve your communication skill is deciphering who it is you are speaking to when you are communicating. This includes everything from where they are from to what their personality and emotional temperament are. This affects how to communicate with someone as much as anything from the language you use to what kind of stories you tell to communicate a point. So whatever you can gather these information before during a conversation goes in. Actually, it helps. It goes a long way in improving how effectively you are able to communicate your message, my friends. First, when you know to whom you are talking to with the basic inputs about his temperament, you should also be careful about the body language, as the body language is as important as the words you speak. Body language is for the most part automatic and it transmits how we are feeling emotionally in any given moment. However, our body language also communicates to others how we are feeling. Something communicating emotions we wish not to show, like a lack of confidence ever by our body language. The other basic rules for the body language when communicating includes always maintaining an eye contact, I repeatedly say, as well as keeping an open posture, that is not crossing the arms and facing your chest towards the person you are speaking to. These days, in a digital world, given the age we are living in today, there's a, it'd be remiss to leave out the tips to communicate digitally. Communicate digitally. It is important. So, reread before hitting send. And this is easily one of the easiest but single most for communicating in writing digitally. I found that most people have an interesting mental block here and think that they always write perfectly. Even I have this kind of a mental block too. But I can attest to the fact that typos don't escape anyone. Even professional writers given to the world of the smartphones. They start testing and writing, changing what you have written it. Kindly reread before you send. So do yourself a favor and proof your own writings, whether it's a simple email, a report, or your resume or anything. So just enough to get your point across, my friends. People with refined communication skill tends to speak less and listen more. However, when they speak, they always seems to communicate their message more clearly than the less refined communicators that trails on and on endlessly. How do you do that? Before you speak, my friends, think about why you are responding to someone or why you are trying to communicate. What's the point you want to drive home? And what's the essence of your point, of your response? It's a difficult skill to master, but this can get you started in the right direction. My friends, remember, people don't really care. So just simply relax. When we communicate with others, we tend to think that they are judging us about every other thing we do and say. This affects everything we do and we communicate with others, whether we notice it or not. The truth is, most of us are just too self-absorbed to care in a natural kind, that is our nature, our natural way, not to conceit. We are too busy thinking of ourselves that you are judging us oftentimes. And if the person doesn't care, they're definitely never judging you the way we tend to convince ourselves others are. What is happening with us often magnifies what's going on outside of us. So if you can remind yourself of this when you are communicating, it will give you a sense of relief that allows you to relax and communicate more clearly and more confidently. Guard against, my friends. I suffer from this problem, and that is called over-communicating. Similar to the point I have just discussed earlier, we often feel as though we are clearly communicating something when in reality we are not being clear enough at all. One of the I'm reading somewhere in some study or some this thing they did a study or research upon that half of the participants were asked to tap the rhythm of the melody of 120 famous songs. The second half of the participants were asked to guess what famous songs the tappers were tapping. The average of the first group, the tappers, estimated that 50% of the songs they tapped would be guessed correctly. Surprisingly, less than 3% of the 120 songs were guessed correctly. It shows very clearly an important lesson. Something we think we communicated clearly often wasn't clear enough. But how do we do this? This is where the magic of storytelling, hand gestures, and other visual mechanism comes into play. Anecdotes, parables, stories, couplets, anything. There is a lot you can do to communicate more clearly, but the best way was to often just give more than one perspective of the same thing so people can see it from different sides and angles. My friends, learn to listen, really listen, not just stay quiet. Listening, my friend, is one of the most important aspects of communication, because communication is the process of interacting and transmitting messages with others. You can only be so good at it if you ever work one is being a good talker. To some degree, listening is a quality that naturally arises as someone learns to refine themselves and their ability to communicate, because it quickly becomes apparent that in order to communicate effectively, you need to know what the other person is saying and feeling. However, it still needs to be an intentional effort to listen carefully each and every word spoken to or spoken by the person you are talking to. When communicating with another, make it a point to listen closely, to not just the words they speak, but also their body language and the emotions they are displaying. When communicating, there are all kinds of non-verbal cues you can pick up on that will tell you how the other person is feeling and responding your words. Communication skills are one of the most important of all. So it goes without saying that by investing in improving your ability to communicate, you will be well served, my friends. Use these quick tips I've just discussed with you to take your communication skills to a new level and reap the benefits in both your personal and professional lives that comes from being a more effective communicator. Thank you very much.